So, welcome to the Guiding Growth Show. This is our first time you and I are having this, where
Yes,
we
and thank you.
15 minutes all about you. This is where we shine the proverbial light and torch on you as the host of our value add, actually two courses, and just learn a little bit more about who Stacey Fong is. So, welcome and thank you for doing this.
Yeah, and thank you for having me on the show. And yeah, no pressure, all about me.
There's some
Yeah.
people who revel in it, and I know you're the modest one who doesn't quite, but we'll try and extract all that talent out of you. But tell us a little bit about yourself, Stacey. You're a counseling psychologist and a career development practitioner. How did you manage to merge all these into one? Tell us about the journey.
Yeah, so the journey has been incredibly interesting. And I think, I'll start from me as a little Lee. I think growing up, I always wanted to be a teacher. And it didn't quite pan out because once I'd reached sort of matric and was like, what do you want to study? I was like, I don't know. I have no clue, right? So the teacher thing kind of fizzled out somewhere along the way growing up. But I think that
Yes,
theme always remains so deeply ingrained in me to teach and to share knowledge and learn from others and that kind of thing. So I think it's from that experience and also then, you know, sort of growing up in an area where psychological services and career knowledge wasn't exactly readily available, right? We didn't know
yeah,
that this was there. So I think that was also one of my motivating kind of factors in then moving into the field of psychology is being able to make these services accessible, but also that personal experience of wanting to be a teacher, but also not knowing what I wanted to do at a younger age and what I wanted to study. And realizing how valuable having a career assessment and seeing what it was like to be with a career counselor really also guided me in this path. So I was very lucky to have worked at UJ for about 5 years, where we were actually trained in psychological services as well as career services. And that's where we had learned how to then integrate the two.
ah,
Um, yeah.
okay.
And that's where, yeah, it just really just came about. And these dreams of being able to make this knowledge accessible really came to fruition in that space because I mean, I think at my time at UJ, I think I must have seen about 10,000 students where we did these advisory sessions. We also had career counseling sessions, psychological or service sessions, or we had sort of therapy, and we were really able to assist. So, for me, that was a dream come true. I was able to make this knowledge accessible, right? And it's really taken me through to this stage in my career now where I'm in private practice and I'm continuing the stream of how do I grow it? How do I make it more accessible? And I think that's where, fate had it that I found value ed in, November 2020, or was it 20? Yeah,
Yes,
2020,
yes,
right? When we
2020.
were all kind of stuck in our homes and, going through LinkedIn and seeing this post and being like, wowed. And yeah, and I think it's really led us here. And it's so cool that I'm still able to do this and grow the dream.
Yeah, and it's so amazing that you're still able to do this for us, Stacey, because when I think about it, I think you are from external, you're the first external host we got, right? Internally, we had a couple of people, I was doing something, Refuel was doing something, etc. But from an external point of view, and obviously the gravitas of getting somebody with the qualifications you have in psychology and career development is even greater. But also the versatility, right? So you're currently guiding the growth of young valuadians in the space of work readiness. And we've just completed a session now this evening of
Yeah.
exploring relationships. How's that going for you in terms of guiding that growth of these young valuadians?
Yeah, so I think starting off with work readiness, I think that's really been an awesome show because, or course, is because I've had the honor of watching these young emerging professionals grow and see where they're actually moving in their careers and learning employability skills along the way. And some of that has come from the course, which has been wow, it's been amazing having to see some of the skills they've learned. And it's simple things like Zoom etiquette, right? They've all learned, okay, I need to raise my hand when chatting in a meeting, or being able to be engaged and interactive. So they're typing in the chat boxes. And it's really incredible to see the growth that happens in these courses, and watching where they're going in their careers. I mean, seeing some of them, moving into new jobs and that kind of thing has been very, very cool. So, a lot of what that program then is based on is really teaching employability skills where they can take this into their career journeys for years to come, right? So it's things like job search strategies. I mean, learning to look for a job is a job in itself, but once they have those skills, it's something they can take on and pass on to others, right? So they themselves can help others to be employable. And so that's really a huge thing for me. And simple things like writing a CV. I mean, I think a lot of us learned in high school, and I think what we called it then was guidance. It's maybe life skills now in schools, or LO, where we've learned to write this CV that it's not actually, very helpful when it comes to actual job applications, because it's not what companies are looking for. So being able to learn that skill of understanding, okay, what is it that this industry is looking for from me in terms of a CV, is really helpful. And I think a lot of our young professionals have learned these skills, which is fantastic.
No, absolutely. I mean, just as you
Mm,
say, watching them grow, if we think of some of them who started where they started in terms of being shy and not really
mm,
conversant and, a little hidden, now to expressing themselves, proudly and with confidence. And on the exploring relationship side, that was the one I was saying, oh, Stacey, you really need to do this as well. You really need to do this. Because I think what you brought there is this dynamic of people learning about themselves and how
mm.
they bring themselves into relationships. Tell us a little bit about how that's going for you.
I think that's also, for me, it's going well in terms of I'm learning a lot from every person that attends, that course each, every second month. And that in itself is that communication that we learn about, right? We're social beings. We learn how to connect and engage in different ways. And sometimes it's about finding out, ooh, maybe I could be communicating in a way that's different, or learning a new skill when it comes to communication. Because I think, we've learned from certain, things growing up, maybe from an upbringing or from a sibling or something, that this is how we communicate. But really now we can actually question and say, but maybe I can communicate differently, right? So it's really about then that self-awareness, building that self-awareness around who am I now? How am I communicating? Can I change it? Are there any kind of automatic responses that I'm using in communication that doesn't actually facilitate, that connection? So I think that's really cool, and that we're learning from each other in that program, which is very, very cool. So, and it's lessons I'm going to take with me into the rest of my life, and it's moments that I remember, fondly. And so I'm hoping that more of these will happen as we go, and more people will join, so that we can have this shared experience together.
Absolutely. And I think that really
Mm,
is the crux of it as well. It's a shared experience. And the
mm,
more people come in and hear other people's stories, they find themselves not feeling like they're an island and that
yeah.
they're the only ones going through certain journeys. But about you, Stacey, one of the
Mm.
amazing things about you is that you have this very calm and very deliberate and intentional demeanor. Is that something that studying psychology got you? Is that something that you intentionally worked on? Or is this always been Stacey and she's not any of the wiser that she has this characteristic?
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I'm going to take that. I think it's the latter, because typically I'm always feeling like, oh, I'm so nervous, I'm so anxious. But I have gotten feedback from others saying that you're really calm, and I'm like, really? Really?
Oh,
Right?
geez, I've never seen
So,
you quick anyway.
so maybe it's a skill I've somehow learned from somewhere, but I'm, in terms of my own self-awareness, it's probably something I'm going to have to really track back and think about. Where did I learn this skill in terms of having this calm demeanor, apparently? But that is
Yeah,
awesome. Thank you.
Because I think what it
Um,
does is that it plays an intricate role in the courses that you're taking, right? I think the ability for you to pass that on in terms of messaging to those who are on the courses is amazing. And I presume, and it's not much of a detective prediction because it's obviously that obvious, that in your practice, that's, I'm sure, what everybody's experiencing in meetings. Tell us a little bit about your practice.
all right. So, my practice is, it's a year in now. So I took the leap of faith and sort of jumped into private practice. With the idea of growing this dream, right, that we chatted about earlier. So it's going well, but I think, the one thing that I didn't realize is just how much I would have to learn. So the steep learning curve in terms of, social media marketing, building a website, how do I network with other professionals in the space, also having that elevator pitch ready when someone says, "What is it that you do?" Right? So it's having to also practice all of those skills alongside also keeping up to date with the world of psychology and, the career development side of it. So I think I keep myself very busy with that learning thing. It's a strong value for me, is constantly learning. So, I think I take that a lot with me into my practice. So I'm able to still share knowledge with people that I do see in terms of, oh, I've come across this, maybe it could be a helpful resource for you going forward. Yeah, and I do think that that calm demeanor that you brought up does potentially come through. I don't think
And
clients
I'm
would
not
come
much of a
back
detective, but
if
I can
if if
presume it
if it
does.
wasn't there. Yeah. But I mean, if I think about it now, it might also be, like you're saying, part of the training that we received is learning how to hold our own stuff kind of back so we're able to be as objective as possible in the room, but also realizing that it is a relationship that we're building. So there is a portion of myself that comes through that's very authentic, right?
Yeah,
But obviously, I can't bring in my own home stuff
yeah,
into the room because it could negatively impact the therapeutic process, right? But it's also knowing that this is me, the authentic Stacey, that's coming through, that's engaging with you, um,
yeah.
and being very aware of that. Yeah, to the ideas of what am I wearing? Am I wearing something that is authentic to me? And what is the purpose of this? What is the message that I'm communicating? Even with my clothes, with the way I'm sitting, with the way I'm talking to you, right? So it's this
You
constant awareness.
you mentioned that quite a lot. You mentioned that throughout the entire two courses that you run. There's a lot of intentionality that you evoke in terms of people being aware of things that they're not necessarily always aware about. Just on your practice, what are the kind of areas that you specialize in terms of in the counseling space?
So if I think about it in terms of counseling and therapy, my areas of interest are stress and stress management, and then anxiety as well, which forms part of that. I do see some clients who are experiencing sort of mild depression, as well as then confidence building and esteem building. So those are my areas of interest when it comes to the counseling space. And when we look at it in terms of the career stuff, it's really around career exploration and planning, but also, in terms of CV writing, interview skills, and job search preparation, which is quite a large part of my practice, and then also career assessment. So sometimes a high school student might also come through and say, "Oh, I don't know what subjects to choose. I'm in grade 10 or I'm going to grade 10." So being able to do that assessment and say, "Okay, based on what we found, this might be, the assessments that might be beneficial for us to do, for you to figure out what it is you want to do going forward in terms of subjects." And then also, for students who are choosing university subjects, we also do a career assessment. But I do have a package that's really cool that I found works really well, is we've combined the career counseling with the assessment process. So we have assessments, but we also have this more qualitative narrative part of it where we're talking about what are your values, what are your interests, can this be a passion? If not, cool. Is it recreational? How do we then pursue this recreationally, and then how do we pursue this other part of it in terms of a career? So we combine the two, which I found works very, very well, particularly with young professionals who aren't sure if they're, playing soccer is actually a career or actually just a recreational interest.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and I guess the task after that, I found that with my children who are gifted in sport is once you start seeing it as a career, because it is a possible career, the disruptor to that is the discipline that the career comes with, right? So you say, oh, okay, that's great. Do you know now you need to be in bed by 10, 6 days a week? You need to cut out half this food that you're eating. You need to be training 2 hours a day. And all of a sudden, no, I think it's just a side thing. So you go, okay, that goes with it. Well, Stacey,
Absolutely.
that was just
Yeah.
15 minutes of getting to know you and say also thank you
Woohoo!
for the amazing work that you do with these, I think, phenomenal young people. I think we're getting to that stage where the value add sort of team of valuadians, the right avatars are beginning to click onto, and we're growing in that format. So what you do for them to retain them as well, because it's not so much about just passing information, it's that they're staying, and they're staying because they love what they're getting. So thank you for that. And long may another 2 years last. Yay!
Yay, definitely. And thank you for having me on today and just having this chat. And absolutely agree with you. The young people that we have on this platform, they're phenomenal. And I see great things and future leaders coming out of Value Ed. So it's really fantastic. And thank you for allowing me on this journey.
Thank you, Stacey, and have a fantastic rest of the week and a long weekend. Yay!
Woohoo, you too. Enjoy.
Thanks. Cheers.
Bye.